Hello, I'm Dr. Mary DiBartolo from Salisbury University here at WBOC's Historic Studio D, and you're watching Delmarva Life.
Nice to have Dr. Mary DiBartolo on the show today. Some important information about Alzheimer's.
Yeah, really good stuff there. Well, if you have been living under a rock, then you probably need to know tomorrow's Election Day.
Yeah, and WBOC wants to help you make an informed decision. So tonight's WBOC News at 7 will have an emphasis on the election. Joining us today to tell us more is WBOC's Steve Hammond. Thank you. I know you're very busy this time of year.
We all are.
Yeah. So what can viewers expect to see tonight?
Well, a lot of emphasis on the races that we're keeping an eye on. There are a lot of ballot questions in Maryland. It's interesting in Maryland. Early voting hasn't been around for that long, but boy, it is really taken off. Early voting has gone through the roof in terms of numbers. And what's driving it? Well, there's the presidential race, but also in Maryland, these ballot questions, for the first time in like 50 years, there are so many ballot questions of really hot button issues.
Well, now, some of these ballot questions, the language can be kind of confusing.
Well, not this year, they hope. Typically, in years past, they've been written by lawyers and full of legalese, and you sort of need an attorney to help decipher it. This year, the sample ballots that I've read, they've made it a lot easier to understand.
And one of those questions is question 6.
Question 6, that's gay marriage, and yes, that is the, well, it's one of the hot button issues, but certainly that and gambling, but, you know, should there be civil marriages for gay people? That's really the question that's on the table in Maryland. It's evenly split. The latest poll by the Baltimore Sun has this evenly split. There's been a sizable amount of money spent on this, but a lot more on the gambling question.
I was going to say, so you mentioned civil marriages, and question number 7 is the gambling issue.
Yep, it expands gambling, and what does that mean? Well, there would be an extra casino built in Prince George's County. That's one thing. In terms of the local effect, Ocean Downs would be allowed, if this passes, would be allowed to have table games, blackjack, roulette, and also would be allowed to be open 24 hours a day if they so desired.
Steve, let's talk about Delaware a little bit. They don't have any ballot questions, but there's some pretty hotly contested races in Delaware.
Yeah, you know, it's been a really interesting campaign season in Delaware. You know, Tom Carper running for re-election to the U.S. Senate seat, and thought it was going to be an easy race, and then suddenly here comes Alex Pyrese, the Dewey Beach businessman, independent, is throwing a lot of money into this race and a lot of allegations. It's gotten pretty nasty at times. There were allegations by Pyrese that Tom Carper had some sort of a mystery illness, and there was a fundraiser, and Carper got up on a table and did 30 push-ups, saying, "I'm perfectly healthy." But Carper's 65 years old, and there's just been a lot of back and forth, and Pyrese is the independent. And oh, by the way, there is a Republican in this race.
Oh, by the way.
Oh, by the way.
And Kevin Wade. And so we'll see how it all plays out. But there's been that. There's been the Bodenweiser scandal in that state Senate race in Sussex County, and Brian Pettyjohn is now, his name will be on the ballot. Right. Tomorrow.
So there's a lot going on as far as Maryland and Delaware. This is all going to lead up to nationwide presidential elections, all this stuff. Tomorrow night is really going to be a busy night in the news.
It is.
What can we look forward to seeing?
Well, as we always do on WBOC, we have our army of news people who are fanned out in different places, whether it's in Wilmington or on the Upper Shore with Andy Harris and some of the local races in Sussex County, and we're keeping an eye on, I think it's about 45 to 50 races in Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. There's also a very tight U.S. Senate race in Virginia that we're watching as well, between Tim Kaine and George Allen. But all that, and we'll be cutting in throughout the night. Of course, CBS News will be driving the presidential coverage. Our role is all the local stuff, whether it's ballot questions in Maryland or all these races in Delaware and Virginia.
Yeah. Well, we'll be sure and watch WBOC News at 7 tonight. Steve, thank you so much for taking time
to be here.
Visit us this afternoon. Well, still to come on Delmarva Life, manicures and pedicures. It's not just about the pampering, there are other benefits.
And Brian Spiros is in Rehoboth Beach this afternoon at Bad Hair Day with a little bit more. Brian?
Well, Jimmy and Lisa, like you said, when it comes to getting your nails or your feet done, there are a lot of health benefits. We're going to tell you all about them. But first, here's another handy how-to tip from Rachel Ray.
The next time you're given a lovely bouquet, or like me, just can't walk by the market of flowers without bringing some home because they're so beautiful, here's a great couple of tips on how to improve the life of those cut flowers. For nutrients, you're going to put little sugar down into their water. And then to keep the water clear, drop a penny down in the bottom. Heads up, please, for good luck. That'll keep the water clear, and the sugar will keep the flowers alive for days.